Welcome to SuperTalk, the podcast that scratches your superhero itch. Just two suburban dads nerding out over superhero stuff on the small screen and the big. Buckle up, people. Enjoy the ride. Okay, I think I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's roll. In 3.
Welcome to Super Talk, the weekly podcast dedicated to news and reviews of comic book media on the big and small screen. This is episode number 41. I'm your host, Brian Professor Pettis, and with me, as always, is my illustrious co-host, Titanium Tony Estrella. Titanium!
Professor, sporting a little the Washington football team, huh?
Well, you know,
Sean Taylor?
They're terrible.
Yeah.
You know, they're a terrible football team,
Yeah.
but they did retire number 21 this weekend. Sean Taylor, one of the best free safeties probably to ever play the game, and unfortunately his
Tragic.
life ended way too soon. Tragic killing. His house was broken into and he was killed. I think some people were trying to rob his house, and unfortunately he was home. They thought he was not, and he was shot and killed. I think he was like 28, 29, 27, 28, 27
He was
years
young.
old.
Yeah, he was in his 20s. I thought early 20s, but you might be
26, 27. I mean, he'd only been in the league maybe 5 years. But man, that guy was one of the most exciting players to watch. And if you get a chance, go and look his highlight reel up on YouTube or something. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, they retired his number today, and look, they're a terrible football team, and I'm proud to be a fan of theirs, but man, it's hard sometimes.
It is hard. I agree.
It's hard, man.
It is hard.
Well, let's talk about something that's a little bit more fun.
Let's talk about what the podcast is about. How
Right.
about that, Professor? Take us to school.
Well, before we do, we always want to thank the listeners that bring the show to you, and those are our patrons. Patreon.com/SuperTalk. These are the listeners that have chosen to donate $1 per episode. Yes, $1 per episode to help bring the show to you, and they sponsor the show directly. And you know what? All the money that we get from our patrons goes straight back into this show, and it's the reason we can do it is because of those guys. So, look, thank you for those of you who've done it. You want to sign up, go to patreon.com/supertalk, and we will send you some really cool stuff, and we'll give you all kinds of thanks and props, and we'll do some stuff for our patrons periodically because they're great people.
Thank you, squirrels and girls. Appreciate the support there.
Well, let's jump right into the review section. We had one new episode of content this week. We got the semi-final episode of Titan Season 3, Episode 12, came out this week. And, boy, they're ramping up. This is getting real now. If you remember, at the end of Episode 11, Nightwing was shot in the throat and was lying on the ground dying. And I think Raven was kind of sensing the fact that he was in trouble, and we were like, well, what the heck's going to happen? And Raven and Beast Boy find Nightwing basically dead on the ground, and a couple of crazy things happen. Number one, these bats all of a sudden just start circling Nightwing.
Yeah.
And Beast Boy starts getting really crazy, and to this point in the television show, he's only been able to turn into his tiger.
Yeah.
That's all he's been able to do. But all of a sudden, the bats are circling around, and he's getting all worked up, and he turns into a bat.
Yeah.
Crazy. And then
Good CGI, too. I was shocked.
it was great. And they lift him up. The bats lift up Nightwing and carry him to the Lazarus pit that Raven and Beast Boy had found the previous episode, and they drop Nightwing into the Lazarus pit to hopefully bring him back to life.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the best part of the show. I felt that Beast Boy turns into a giant bat. Or a bat. That was cool. The CGI was great on that. Yeah, I thought that was great. I don't know if Nightwing in the comics had ever been put in the Lazarus pit. I think it's a departure from the comics, which is fine. I don't mind that. Just some of the continuity in this show has kind of gone off the rails. I think it was moving at a breakback speed. The moving forward with the story was moving very quickly, which is fine. But the Nightwing thing in the Lazarus pit, I wasn't a big fan of. The fact that he had to fight his way out of the Lazarus pit or find his way. I mean, that's not really what the Lazarus pit is. It's when you're dead, you go to the Lazarus pit, it heals you, and it gives you a rebirth. So the fact that he had these dreams and these visions while he was in there and all this, and he comes out in his street clothes. I mean,
that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, he
came out in the clothes that he was wearing in his dream sequence, which was very strange because he went in his Nightwing uniform.
Yeah, that's the continuity that
that was really weird.
I think is a little off for me, and it's just a little thing, and it shouldn't bother me as much, but it really does. I still like the show; it's very entertaining. But those type of things are kind of, another thing that bothered me a lot is why are Gotham PD, the police, in the Batcave? Like, how does that work? Like, the Batcave has always been this secret, top secret kind of thing, and anybody that finds out about it, they usually kill off. I can see them killing off, Scarecrow, but now you have this array of police officers that have been to the Batcave. They hand-delivered Dr. Crane, the fear,
toxin.
The toxin, yeah. So some of those things I just don't get. Very similar to the last episode when Commissioner Gordon was given a direct order to stand down and not to shoot, and no one was listening to her, but she gets arrested. I mean, she was the commissioner. She gave a direct order. Those type of things are small, and they bug the crap out of me for some reason, but still very entertaining. Still need answers. How Donna Troy, she comes back to life, but why did she go to England, the castle, and save Batman? How'd she get there? Those type of things are just a little off for me. So, and it's just simple continuity stuff, like, come on, guys, just make it blend together. Make the story make a little bit of sense, and don't leave these. I mean, it's easy to move the story forward with these assumptions, but don't do it so much that it's like so obvious. I just think it's a little lazy writing.
Yeah, from my perspective, I think what they were doing is using some of these examples that you gave as to provide some context and behind the reasons why these characters were where they are. And the whole sequence of Nightwing being in the Lazarus pit, Raven mentioned he has to fight. I can't do anything. He has to fight his way out. And they were portraying these, the fact that he was troubled and that the Scarecrow had gotten into his head and he had to kind of fight his way out. And they explained it away that way, which again was strange. It was definitely strange for me. But again, from a storytelling perspective, it's just about the show taking the story where they're trying to go, and they're using it as a mechanism. And I agree. Look, if we want to pick apart this entire show, there's so many inconsistencies with the continuity from a DC perspective, but they're playing on some of the tropes that we know about from the comics. So I give them a little bit of creative freedom there. Donna, the entire episode, Donna was with Tim Drake's family, and to your point, there was one or two corrupt cops that were on the take from Scarecrow. Well, now the entire Gotham City Police Department's on the take.
Yeah.
The entire department's on the take.
Yeah.
And they were like, wait a minute, all these cops are all corrupt, and we got to be careful about them. And it's like, how did this happen so quickly?
Right.
That was, and to your point, they show up in the Batcave delivering the fear toxin to Scarecrow, and we find out that his grand plan is to release this fear toxin into Gotham and to basically turn the city upside down. We find out that Red Hood, Jason, decides that the Scarecrow's just gone way off the reservation and he's done with him.
Well, he tries to kill him. I mean, Dr. Crane tries to kill him with that blade, but
which is ridiculous because it's amazing how skilled of a combatant he is when he's fighting Nightwing, but then the Scarecrow has like some hook on a chain and he can't defeat him.
He's got guns.
He's got guns.
He has guns in his holster. I mean, he's doing like this acrobatic, parkour with Nightwing, and he can't elude.
He can't pull out a gun and just shoot him.
Yeah, I don't
really
very yeah. And then when Nightwing gets out of the Lazarus pit, he's like, get the Titans back together. He's all about bring the family back together. Get Donna Troy. How does he know Donna's alive? How does he know there's no visions of her in the last season? That type of stuff drives me crazy. I understand
because he said to Beast Boy and Raven, where are we supposed to go? Find Donna. And how does he know she's even alive?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
These are the continuity things that just drive me crazy.
Right.
These little details, and maybe I'm overanalyzing it a little bit, but I just think that it hurts. It hurts the show.
Well, the other big MacGuffin in the episode this week was
MacGuffin. Great word. What the fuck, MacGuffin? What a word.
The other big MacGuffin in the episode this week was, if you remember last episode, Connor had been disabled by Nightwing.
That's another thing.
With the kryptonite dust, and he's found and revived by Blackfire, and Blackfire and Starfire kind of. I come to him, Starfire talks to Blackfire, and she's not angry that she got her powers back or whatever. She's like, "I'm good." Well, Starfire, they find the evil doctor who had been working for the government that was holding Blackfire before, and found out that they had Blackfire's ship.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's here, but the power source is gone. And Connor was like, we need something that can compress this energy source into, and they're like, Connor can do it. And Connor was like, you're gonna leave me? And she's like, yeah, I got to go back. I'm going back to my homeworld. I mean, I got to take the throne. And you could tell he wasn't happy about it. And at the end of the episode, he blows the ship up, and you can see Connor is pissed off. He is not happy, and it looks like we're gonna have a bad Connor Kent here in the next episode.
Well, that's I mean, Nightwing, you can't be like Titan's family, and then you eliminate Connor from the fight. I mean, I thought that right there was. I hope it wasn't jumping the shark. I hope the show didn't jump the shark in that moment. But
well, we got one episode left. Next week's the finale, so we're going to have one more episode left.
And I'm looking forward to it. I don't mean to sound so negative, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
My gut tells me Batman comes back. Whether he plays a role, I think he comes back at some point in time in the episode. They're going to be trying to fight off or stave off the threat of the GCPD and Scarecrow. Oh, by the way, Barbara did escape, so she escaped custody, so she's kind of out on her own now.
Yeah, she kind of took care of...
Well, she escaped but went to Oracle. She went into the computer and wanted to revive Oracle and see if Oracle could help. Yeah. So I think we're going to reach a crescendo here, and we'll talk about the future of the show after next week, a little bit later on when we get to our topic of the week this week. But hey, you know what? Again, all these characters,
it's entertaining.
I love the characters are great. I think the actors they've chosen to portray these characters are really good.
Yeah, Tim Drake is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, and I think he's going to play a bigger role here.
I hope so.
Donna Troy, fantastic. Connor Kent, I think, is well cast.
I'm glad Blackfire is going to stay on planet. Smoke show. She's easy to look at.
Her outfit is...
You got to remember, Connor is, not an adult man, an adult thinker. He's still kind of childlike, so he might get a little jealous, and I think
the other thing, he's only half Superman. The other half of him is Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor. We can see a little...
Yeah, we got a little bit of the Lex
and he's
in him.
Pissed at, he's like... I think he said, fuck the Titans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got a problem there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Anyway, we got the finale this week, so this Thursday
Good
we'll
stuff.
get the final episode. Looking forward. It's been a great season, and you know what? I'll watch the next one when it comes out. It was great. So let's jump into the news, and really not a really light news week, despite our topic of the week. So we'll kind of get into that. But the one news item, we had a little drop from Marvel this week. We got literally the first minute and a half of the Eternals movie.
Yeah.
They dropped the scene of the Eternals first. It looks like early Man, kind of like way back in history. The Deviants are attacking Man, and the Eternals show up to fight off the Deviants, and we see the scene of Icarus kind of fighting the flying Deviant. And there's another one that crawls out of the ocean, and we see a couple of the other Eternals fighting against it. It looks, the special effects just look so good.
The detail on their uniforms or their outfits is so insane and
how
so badass.
How they glow when they're using their powers.
Badass.
Yeah.
Just the detail and the intricacies of the material and the metal on them and the designs of them is so cool. It's really got to study it this time, and it's awesome. But I tell you what, as everybody who knows Titanium out there, Titanium's shutting it down. I'm shutting down social media.
Yeah.
I'm not watching any more clips. I'm not watching any more releases.
We're 3 weeks away, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's coming.
That's my shutdown.
Right.
So I'm not watching any more clips, any more videos of it. I won't go to their website, or I won't go to their social media pages. I'm shutting it down. Titanium shutting that down.
Well, you and I talked about this briefly earlier today, that we did kind of get a little bit of an Easter egg, that the director did come out and confirm that there are 2 post-credit scenes in the movie. No details about what those post-credit scenes are.
Nope.
But I think we can kind of assume a couple of them. One of them for sure. I think there's going to be a post-credit scene in regards to the Black Knight. So we know that the Black Knight as a character is not in this movie. Now, we do get
Dane Whitman is in the movie, but he doesn't play the Black Knight in this movie.
So I think one of the post-credit scenes is going to be in regards to him, his family, his history, the ebony sword, and
great assumption. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of them. And then the other one I think is going to be an introduction of some type of big, nasty character that we're going to have to pay attention to going forward. There's some thoughts out there that it may be something like Galactus being introduced at the end, in the end credit scene of, hey, let's introduce a big bad, because we know the Fantastic Four movie's coming, and maybe this is a way, hey, we're already dealing with the Eternals and the Celestials and everything else there. Well, why not bring some other big, kind of eternal or celestial being out there like Galactus?
I'm getting excited for the movie, to be honest with you. I'm getting really excited. But you're right. I have no idea what that second end credit.
And we don't want to know.
I don't want to know. I'm shutting it down. I don't want to know any more about this movie. I want to go in cold, just from what I know already. Nothing else. So.
Well, here's the thing. I think Shang-Chi, our expectations were pretty high, but the movie exceeded all of our expectations.
Absolutely.
Without question. That movie just rocked it. It was off the charts.
Yeah.
I think the expectations we've had for this movie are much lower. And you and I have talked about this, that we're weary, that maybe they're doing too much, and this is just seems out of the continuity, and we're not really sure why.
Even the teaser didn't get me excited.
Right.
I've always said the deviants, the way they look, the creatures that they fight, not very cool, not very exciting. I think there's kind of like lazy creature development. I don't know. I thought they should be more organic, not stylized and computer generated so much. So.
But Marvel has always found a way to, with minor exceptions, found a way to exceed our expectations. And I think this movie is going to blow us away in some aspects. In other aspects, it'll be exactly what we looked forward, what we thought it was going to be. Look, you've got an Oscar-winning director that was picked to direct this movie way before she won an Oscar, and I think it was done for good reason. And I trust in the fact that Marvel's not going to release a bad movie at this point in time. And from what Kevin Feige said, this movie plays an enormous role in the future of the MCU.
It sets up the future of the MCU. That's what he said. So this movie's going to be very important.
Yeah. So look, you and I need to find a way to see this movie.
Yeah.
Because
we're
going to
be
travel restrictions that are going to.
I know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
All right. Well, let's jump right into the topic of the week this
week.
Big
topic of the week.
The topic of the week is going to be the recap of the DC Fandome event that we got yesterday. But, this is always... The topic of the week is brought to you by our friends over at Studio GG Studios.
Studio G, home of the man band, Corner of the Cob. Love those guys. Hey, shout out to Studio GG Studios. We love you guys. Thank you for the support. We really appreciate you guys.
Keep it up, and we're going to see Buffalo Tim here shortly, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I can't wait for that. I know there's been some delays. The studio was flooded.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. No. He had some issues with rain down there where the studio is in the south. I guess I can say where it is.
Sure.
Seneca, South Carolina on Lake Kiwi. It rained for like 7 days straight, and the studio was kind of flooded. So they had to move everything up into the house, and they got to drain it. They're about to pressure wash, get rid of some mold and stuff. So it's a big big thing.
Are they now Studio Wet Studios?
No, it's Studio Afloat, still floating studios.
All right, well, good luck, guys. We hope you come out from that pretty well, and thank you for your support.
Absolutely, and we're going to support you by sending more traffic to your site So you're monetized. That site's monetized. So watch the commercials.
Yeah, please check them out.
Yep.
So let's get into it. DC Fandome, big event. This is something that DC did last year. And frankly, with the pandemic, was a 100% virtual event last year, was again a 100% virtual event this year. And they were really successful last year. And they were like, hey, let's just run it back.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to give you, we'll talk about each individual thing that we learned, and we've got a ton. But here's my overall impression of the event itself. I was shocked at how much DC has going on. We learned about everything they have going on. We learned about new comic books they have, new video games they've got coming out, animated series coming out, television series coming out across all of their networks, and movies in production. I was pleasantly surprised about everything they had going on, and the fact that they were so proud to show it all off to us. That says a lot, because you and I have had some doubts about what DC's got going on and
the direction of the DCEU. Yep.
And I think a lot of those questions were answered this weekend.
I think they got their shit together now. Whether the continuity, whether they're building this DC universe, whether they will mix and match these storylines together and mesh them together and make it all come together again with either a Justice League or something to that effect, I don't know. But as standalones, some of these I'm looking really forward to.
So who are the two most important people as far as the DC EU is concerned? Who are the two most important people that they had out in front of us last year?
Jeff Johns, yeah.
And Zack Snyder.
Yes.
Those were the two most important people they had out in front of us last year.
Out front of the vision.
Jeff Johns was, and for those of you who don't know who Jeff Johns is, a prolific comic book writer. Worked for DC for years. And if you want to know anybody that's an expert on DC Comics and DC history, Jeff Johns is the man. And Warner Brothers had hired Jeff Johns to kind of shepherd.
To be their Kevin Feige.
Right. To be the Kevin Feige of the DCEU.
Follow a vision. Yep.
Right. And Zack Snyder had been given the reins of many of the properties that were going to fall into that vision, right? He had started with the Man of Steel franchise and did Batman v Superman and then ended up doing the Justice League movies, and we saw neither of them this weekend.
Yeah.
Neither of them were on the DC Fandome coverage at all yesterday. Mm-hmm. So what it tells me is they have now picked other people, and what I saw was it wasn't one person. It was several people that were given the reins to kind of shepherd each one of these franchises into the next generation. Yeah. And I think what they've done is they've taken some of these directors and influencers and said, we're going to give you a franchise, you own it, you run it, and we're going to help understand the direction we want you to go in, but it's yours.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it might be a good plan. So we'll kind of go through each one of these things that we learned this weekend. And, I don't know about you, what I saw was pretty exciting. Most of it.
Well, getting back before we get into the content that they showed us, my fear is the corporate Warner Brothers. It's always been the stop. Yes, it's always been a money grab for them, and they've always injected into the creative process of producing this continuity and this universe for these DC characters. They've always somehow screwed it up and got involved. They screwed Zack Snyder, and I think Jeff Johns, they did the same thing with him. When you got a big corporation that is not about the characters and about moving the process forward and developing the characters, but they're all about the corporate end of it and making money and how we look, and I'm very hesitant because of Warner Brothers. But besides that, I agree with you. This kind of blew me away.
Well, the one thing that I've seen out of DC, which is very, very different than Marvel, DC is more worried about the breadth of content that they have. And you can see that, how they've spread these characters across comic books, animated series, television series, and movies. They've spread them out so wide. And sometimes those characters are across multiple different things.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel's focused on featuring these characters in one thing. Like, or you're going to be in a Disney Plus series, you're going to be in a movie. We're not going to make a Disney Plus series, a movie, and an animated series about the same character.
Yeah.
But DC's doing that.
Yeah.
And I think there's some confusion there. And there was a lot of that this weekend. And you know what? When you and I've talked about this, Titanium, DC probably has a roster, their headlining roster of superheroes is the most iconic roster ever. These guys, I mean, literally each one of, you look at the top 5, I'd put them up against the top 5 of any of the Marvel properties without question.
Of course.
I mean, Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, they're Aquaman, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
They just go way too broad with them. Now, I think they're trying to rein that in a little bit, and let's talk through what we saw this weekend, because I think we'll get an idea of where they're going with a lot of this stuff. So, first thing, it was actually the last thing we got, but it's probably the most anticipated and most exciting thing. We got a new trailer for the Batman movie. So this is Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves been handed the Batman franchise. So let's kind of do a little history lesson, right? Originally we had the Tim Burton version of Batman, which we got back in the late 80s, early 90s. And that run of Tim Burton films spanned, I think, they made like 6?
Something like that.
6 movies, something like that, with a bunch of different people playing the Batman character. George Clooney, Val Kilmer. We just had a bunch of different people doing that. And then we went into
Michael Keaton,
the original. Yeah, he's the original. But then that went away for a number of years, and then we got the Dark Knight series, which was, from my perspective, one of the best trilogies in comic book history from a movie perspective. Sure. That Dark Knight trilogy was incredible.
Yeah.
And that did very well. And then they jettisoned that, right? So they're like, okay, we're going to start over again. Then we got Ben Affleck. Oh, Ben Affleck's going to play Batman. This is pretty cool. And there's been a lot of like ups and downs with that version of Batman. Well, Matt Reeves was like, hey, I'm going to do something totally different. Very akin to what they did with the Joker movie. They said, we're going to take this character, the Joker, and we're going to make an independent film, and we're going to discover more about the underlyings of this character, and not tell the story you've heard before. We're going to tell a brand new story. How many Oscars was the Joker nominated for?
Unbelievable, yeah.
And
it was a home run.
Joaquin Phoenix won the Oscar for
it was a home run.
Yeah. But that's what they said. Matt Reeves, we want you to reimagine the Batman character in your vision, and we're going to give you full reign.
It has a lot of Dark Knight vibe to it. It's very mysterious. True to what we've said in our other podcasts and our other shows, it's going to kind of focus on him being a very great detective, and you can see that in this trailer.
A very early Batman.
And it's not really, it's a standalone.
Yeah.
It's an absolute standalone, and man, it's a home run.
Well, what we saw is and again, this is what they're calling, what Matt Reeves has said is Batman Year 2. So it's not the first year that he chose to take on the Batman persona.
Yeah.
It's kind of like he's been doing it for a while now.
We're not getting an origin story.
No, we're not. No. They're not going to show us like they did in the Dark Knight, the Batman Begins, which was the first Dark Knight movie, where we're going to show you how he becomes Batman and why. We know the backstory. We know his parents were killed and all this other.
We've seen it several times.
So we're going to go through. We're not going to go through that. We're going to show you he's been Batman for. This is kind of like Batman Year 2, and it looks to me what they're doing is, and I somebody explained this to me. I watched somebody online explaining this. It was a great explanation. The Batman we know, Batman is the character, and Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. It's not Bruce Wayne playing Batman. Batman is Bruce Wayne, but Bruce Wayne created the millionaire Bruce Wayne as his alter ego so people wouldn't know that he's Batman. And Christian Bale did this so perfectly in the Dark Knight trilogy. You saw how if you remember, I think it was the first movie. He shows up at some party and he brings a couple girls with him, and then he ends up like falling into the waiting pool or whatever that's in the restaurant or whatever.
Yeah, he's a playboy
playing
millionaire.
a playboy millionaire.
Yeah.
But that was done purposely to deflect people from thinking that he could ever be anybody like
Correct.
Batman. But the real person that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And this movie, he's not quite there yet. He hasn't developed the millionaire Bruce Wayne character quite yet. So he's still kind of trying to figure that duality out. But Batman is his life. And Robert Pattinson plays Batman in the Batman movie. And we got a full trailer. And Selena Kyle, Catwoman, is being played by Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz.
Uh-huh.
And they have a very unique relationship in the comic books as well, which I think they're going to delve into in this movie. We got a full trailer, and the trailer looks spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
The way that they've colored this movie, the different color schemes they have for different types of scenes, fight scenes are kind of got a red hue, and there's a blue hue.
It's a big Dark Knight vibe, and it actually is built on a Dark Knight vibe, and it's so fire.
And you just see the
it's
anger in him.
So awesome. Yeah,
And-
he's explosive.
Yes.
He's not reserved. He's not this cool, laid back. I mean, I can't wait for this. It was probably the highlight of DC Fandom, this trailer. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Matt Reeves and Zoe
spectacular.
Kravitz and Robert Pattinson were being interviewed, and they said, look, this movie has been done for a while now, and it's been delayed because of COVID. It is being released March 4th, 2022, so it's next March it's coming out. But they were so excited to show this trailer off because they haven't been able to show anything. And they're like, look, this movie's been done. We're ready for the world to see it. And they are so excited. And you know what? This trailer lived up to all my expectations. It was off the charts good. We got to see a lot more of the Colin Farrell version of he's not quite the Penguin yet, but we see him in the trailer several times.
Copperpot or whatever.
Cobblepot.
Yeah. Awesome. It's hard to believe that's Colin Farrell.
No way.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, it just looked, and the Riddler, the treatment of the Riddler, this quiet. I mean, it's terrifying. Actually, I mean, I can't wait for this movie.
This is very much so kind of a horror noir movie, kind of.
It really is.
And we got to see the new version of Alfred, who is being played by our friend Andy Serkis. Yeah, I mean, he's making the rounds of all the comic book movies, right? But having just directed Venom: Let There Be Carnage, and now he's playing Alfred in the new Batman movie.
Yeah.
He get to see him a little bit. Man, this movie looks really good, and
Fire.
I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Highlight of the DC Fandom as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the next item, which was also as equally exciting.
The Black Adam teaser.
Oh
man, I'm telling you.
Is there anybody more excited than The Rock about this movie? I mean,
he nailed it right on the head. He said, "I was born to play Black Adam," and he really was. I mean, his presence in this and that little clip that they showed when they reveal who Black Adam is and his power set and how fast he is and what a badass he's going to be. Oh,
so it's literally like a 1 minute teaser trailer. We see a couple of people walk into what looks like a tomb. And they find some runes on the ground, and one of the girl kind of speaks some foreign language and then says the word Shazam.
There was a crown floating, suspended, which I think that's where
his crown.
His crown. That's where he has been held.
Yeah.
And I just
and she speaks the name, and all of a sudden he shows up, and there's a bunch of armed soldiers there with them, and one of the soldiers walks up to him with a gun, and he turns around and grabs him by the neck. And you just see electricity come through his hand, and he basically disintegrates him.
Yeah.
And then all the other soldiers are they're pointing the guns at him, and they start shooting him, and he just stands there, and he's like, "What? Do you
the bullets
think
are
you're
bouncing,
doing? Bouncing off him."
Yeah.
Oh,
badass! And the uniform, his outfit.
Oh my god!
Fire! I mean, I can't. That was probably, besides Batman, that was my number 2. Favorite thing in that whole show.
And that movie's coming out next July. So, Titanium. 2022 is going to be on fire.
Loaded.
For us. Oh my God.
Loaded.
Like we'll spend an episode just going through our calendar next year. I mean, it's going to be insane what's coming out from Disney Plus, Marvel, DC. Now we've got 2 movies coming out in 2022. We got Black Adam coming in July. That's going to be just off the chart. And what has The Rock made that hasn't been successful? I mean, he is literally probably one of the biggest A-list characters in Hollywood right now, and for him to grasp hold of this character and be so passionate and just throw his full self into this role is just going to be awesome.
I mean, think about all the Fast and Furious he's been in. Think about all the action sequences. The Scorpion King, all that stuff. He says nothing compares to the action that's in this movie. I mean, they must have dumped so much cash into this movie. It's gonna be unbelievable.
And I love when he said during Fandom, he goes, sees the power level. He said the power struggle in the DC universe has just changed. Basically, he's like, there's a new man in town. And it's Black Adam, and he's not only excited about this property, he's excited about what his character is going to do in the DCEU going forward. I mean, it's going to play a big role. And oh, by the way, we saw a bunch of the other actors that are playing the original version of the Justice Society of America. Yeah. We're going to have Dr. Fate.
Yep.
We're going to have
Cyclone,
Hawkman, and
Atom Smasher.
Atom Smasher.
Yep.
All those actors were there too, and they're like, yeah, we're here, and we're all here to help stop Black Adam, and we're going to try to do our best to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be fire. I can't wait for a full trailer on that.
Oh,
that's going to be really cool. The teaser
and we'll get it. Yeah,
the teaser was explosive. I really think that they did exactly what they wanted to do, was to hype that up to a level unbelievable. I can't say that about everything that they did, the other shows that they kind of premiered on this, but that definitely hyped it up.
Got you excited.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next one got me excited, too. I mean, we've been talking about this. The Flash movie, we're kind of wondering what they're doing, where they're going with this. They gave us another, probably like minute-long teaser trailer for this as well. And we got to see Ezra Miller in his new uniform, which looks awesome.
Yeah, that was the highlight for me of this. Yeah,
the new uniform, it's basically much sleeker. It's got yellow electricity running through it. Mm-hmm. Got the yellow boots. I mean, it's literally Flash, that we're used to seeing. And they gave a little preview of the plot, which is we've been told this is what they're doing. They're doing the Flashpoint story, and the Flashpoint story in the comic books was Flash reveals or figures out if he can run fast enough, he can go back in time. And he creates this cosmic treadmill, and he's able to go back in time, and he finds out that he can go back in time so far that his mom's still alive. And the story of the Flash is his mom died when he was a young boy, and his father was accused of killing her and was in prison. And his father's been in prison basically his entire life. Since that happened, and he goes back in time and is able to find out, save his mother. And hey, that never happened. Well, in the comic book series of Flashpoint, it created an alternate future because now what happened no longer happened. Well, we found out that who killed his mother was the Reverse Flash in the comic books. And the reason why he was able to go back in time and kill his mother was because the Flash originally went back in time, which ultimately created the Reverse Flash, which allowed him to go back in time and kill his mother. It's this crazy thing. Well, the dystopian future that he creates is one where Bruce Wayne is the one who's killed and not Thomas Wayne.
Right.
And Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. And so now it's an older, more bitter version of Batman. The Atlanteans are at war with the Amazonians. Just the world is upside down, and he realizes, okay, I made a huge mistake. I got to fix this. And then it does end up going back and saying, look, my mom needs to die. That's the only way that this future never happens. And then when that happened in the comic books, it reset the DC universe, comic book universe, into what we referred to as the New 52. And that was kind of like a reboot for all of the comic books.
This one, I don't know if they're going to follow strictly to the comic book.
Doesn't look like it.
The narrator said something like, you can go back to any point.
And who was the narrator?
The narrator was Michael Keaton. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sorry. This was probably one of the most disappointing for me. the Flash teaser, and I'm hoping we see more a little bit down the road. And I know it was just a teaser. They're still in production with this. They probably slapped some stuff together really quickly that they could for this event. But I felt like it was disappointing. We know Michael Keaton's in it. Why didn't you show more of him?
We know Ben Affleck. We know Ben Affleck's in it as well.
And all we got was the bloody hood laying on the ground for him. I don't know.
And we know Iris West, who played Iris West in the Snyder Cut. She's in the, and we saw another Supergirl. Yep. The one they had cast to play Supergirl is in, and we saw it looked like another version of Flash, which was also Ezra Miller. So my question is, does that alternate version of Flash, is that who they're making Reverse Flash?
I don't know, but maybe. It's just, for me, it didn't get me as excited as like the Black Adam teaser did. Yeah, maybe they showed too much.
The end of it was kind of like a big tease for us. They show Ezra Miller as the Flash inside of a big cave, which is obviously the Bat Cave, and we see the cowl of Batman walking.
The old
Michael Keaton cowl.
Yeah.
And again, Michael Keaton was the narrator, so we kind of figured it was his version of Batman. And then at the end of the trailer, we see Ezra Miller walk up to some kind of vehicle that's got a cover on it, and he grabs the cover and decides to pull it off, and then they cut the trailer. Yeah. So we know it's probably the original version of the Batmobile, which we saw in the Tim Burton movies.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's...
Show it to us.
Right. So what's the big tease? It didn't build any more hype by holding Michael Keaton back and not showing the Batmobile. We know it's coming. It was disappointing for me, that clip, and I'm hoping we get more later on when we get closer to it, but that did not get me excited for that movie, and it was disappointing.
We don't have a release date for this movie yet, and I think the reasons is because of where it is in the production slate. I don't think they're ready to announce when it's going to come out. Yeah. My gut tells me late next year. It'll be like the October-November time frame of next year.
Yep.
Is when that'll come out, and you know, look, we'll get so many more clips. We'll get so many more trailers. We're going to get a full trailer eventually. My gut tells me we'll get the full trailer when the Batman movie comes out in March, right? And we'll probably get something like a big teaser or that. Yeah. But you know what? It was enough to wet my whistle. I'm like, look, the Flash is one of my favorite characters ever. Ezra Miller.
The new uniform is fire. Like, that alone was great. And if they had just showed us clips of him in that, I would have been more excited than these weird clips that didn't have any continuity to getting the plot together, or we knew Michael Keaton was going to be in it. Why not show him? They like hid him from us like it was a big teaser, but it's not really. So I'm just disappointed.
I've not been a big fan of Ezra Miller. He seems a little too wacky for me. And
it's funny. A lot of people that I sent the clip to was like, "Oh, I thought he got fired."
Yeah,
he's still in that. Yeah, everybody was like, "He's still in that." I thought he got fired. I was like,
We'll see. But hey, one of my favorite DC characters. I'm hoping they do it right, and I hope they do it well. And you know, this is one of those movies that could have a big impact on the future of the DCEU. We'll see. We'll see where they go with it.
Yeah, right. Just disappointing in my book.
And we did next item. We got a nice little teaser from Jason Momoa.
I could not believe we saw as much Aquaman as we did.
No real finished scenes or anything. Very pre-production. I mean, we got some behind-the-scenes shots of them filming the movie, filming scenes. We didn't really get anything finished with no special effects or anything else. Mm-hmm. They talked about all the actors and the characters that were coming back. Ocean Master's coming back.
Saw him fighting.
Black Manta's coming back.
Oh, can we talk about that for a second? Wow. That was a highlight for me. Yeah. For the whole show, I'm talking about all of DC Fandom. The Black Manta outfit is unreal.
Yeah.
It is. I did not expect that or see that coming. That was one of my... Go Google it, people. You gotta see this thing.
Really cool.
It's unbelievable.
But look,
so the Flash outfit, fire. But this, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy
And,
cool.
you know, look, Jason Momoa did such a fantastic job with that character. And not just the Justice League movie, but in the Aquaman movie. I mean, the Aquaman movie is... Let's count this, people. It is the most successful movie in DC history.
Really?
It's made more money than any other movie that DC
Even
has
the
ever
first
made.
Wonder Woman.
Made more money than all of them.
Wow.
So, look, this is a big franchise for them. And what's the name of the director? Is it Jason Wong or something like that?
Woo.
Jason Woo.
Jason Woo.
He's back, and they have great faith in him and what he's doing with the franchise, and he's excited. And Jason Momoa is just
is it John
awesome.
Woo?
John Woo.
John
Woo. Yeah. But Jason Momoa is just fantastic.
Unreal.
And he's so excited. And really, they showed them getting back on set for the first time. He's like, look, it's been 3 years. We're finally back making this movie. Yeah. And it's going to be called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And we do have a release date. It's coming out next December. This movie's coming out next December.
They have so much work to do on this film. I cannot believe that they're going to push it next December. Don't get me wrong. I'm ecstatic. Like, that made my day when I heard that. I thought that was fantastic. But this is so early. Guys, they just started filming some of this stuff. They have so much special effects they need to go through. I'm shocked. I can't believe. I thought it was going to be like two.
I'm excited for this one. I mean, I think it's going to be great.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So,
too early to really make a decision on the movie itself. But the Black Manta is so fucking cool that I'm excited for
big
this.
Helmet with the big red eyes.
Just his like anatomically correct like muscles and the wetsuit that he's in. Oh man, it looks so cool.
Yeah,
so cool. It's not as bulky as the other one. And even the other one was cool as shit. Like that whole outfit was cool. But this is like this high tech, slender down. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
can't wait.
It's gonna be great. And then we got another behind the scenes teaser from Zachary Levi came out and was talking about, hey, we're filming Shazam and the Fury of the Gods, and let's show you some stuff. And they showed every one of the characters in their new costumes.
Yeah.
We got a big, kind of, I'd say, reveal of who the big villains in the movie are going to be. It's Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu playing two kind of elder gods that are kind of
God World or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
And they're going to be the big bads of the movie, and the whole Shazam family has to fight against them to kind of save the Earth and everything else. But hey, the new costumes look so good.
Yeah, Black Adam, it kind of follows that same Black Adam, like how detailed his was and how cool as shit that was. I think they incorporated that into these new. I'm not excited about this one. I'm just not. It didn't do anything for me. I like the characters in it. The costumes were really cool. I think the big bads are weak unless they portray them as really cool. I don't know. And it was way too early to make a decision on this, but I'm just going to go off. I wasn't excited.
This was early behind the scenes filming and I mean, no real footage or anything else, but you know what? The fact they're making this movie and they are bringing back the Shazam family, I think it's going to be pretty cool. And
I thought the first movie was really cute and it did well. I thought it was kind of cool,
entertaining. Exactly what it was. Exactly what I mean. Look, Shazam's one of those characters in the comics that the fact that he's a kid, and then all of a sudden he has these powers and he's this big muscular body. It's just a cool concept, and I'm looking forward. Hey, look. Again, they got to do this one right because I think they have some big plans for this character going forward. So we'll see. And I mean, you don't introduce Black Adam and not kind of continue to promote the Shazam character. You just don't, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be they're gonna meet at some point in time, right?
Yeah. So I got the Batman trailer. I got Black Adam as number 2. I got the Manta costume as number 3 for me, and the rest of it was just cool. Just good stuff, but not as exciting for me.
Well, even more stuff. So we got a full trailer for Peacemaker.
Oh my God. This is going to be fire.
John Cena.
He's killing it. James, did you expect anything else from James Gunn?
No.
Did you kind of knew that when you saw this, it was going to be fantastic?
Well, but we knew, like I said, having watched the Suicide Squad movie, we knew when James Gunn took that over that he was going to do it better than the first one, which he did.
He did.
But when they knew when they made that Suicide Squad movie that John Cena was a freaking home run. Oh. Like, they knew it. And they're like, we have to do something more with this character. And they did. And for them to be making this now, it's going to be a television series on HBO Max, which is fantastic.
Oh.
And it's basically done. It starts streaming January 13th.
How great is that?
January 13th. Yeah.
Or next year, yeah.
2022. January 13th, we get streaming. I mean, and John Cena, oh my God, he's so funny. Like,
Pet
he's
eagle
just
killed me. When the eagle hugs him.
Oh, he's hugging me. Dad, get my camera.
Get the camera.
Dad,
Take a picture. I don't want to move.
I can't move.
How great was that? He's hilarious. I'm sorry, but that was my number 4 in the excitement list for Titanium. I mean, that's going to be a home run.
Yeah.
And you're going to get multiple seasons of that. You will have multiple seasons of that show. I'm surprised they don't greenlight that right away, because the trailer for that, hilarious.
When he walks out of his hospital room and there's the orderly there or something, and he goes, I need to get out of here. He goes, why? Because I'm a superhero. He goes, what superhero are you? He goes, Peacemaker. There's no superhero called Peacemaker. Who has his name called Peacemaker?
Juan, are you cool? What does that mean? Am I cool? It's so great. I mean, good. The humor is going to be off the charts. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that was great.
Gonna be great. So that's another one we got.
Yep.
Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Got another big release, and you and I were just talking about this before we started the show. Young Justice Season 4. They dropped the first 2 episodes on HBO Max during DC Fandome yesterday. Look, Young Justice is one of the best animated television shows that DC has ever done. The first 2 seasons were released on the Cartoon Network, and they were widely accepted. They were widely praised for how good they were. Made their way to Netflix and had a nice run on Netflix, and anybody who hadn't watched them got to see them on Netflix. And the first 2 seasons are awesome. And the concept behind the Young Justice show is the Justice League is being scrutinized and being kind of the press and Lex Luthor specifically is trying to get the population against the Justice League because they have too much power, they have too much authority, and the Justice League says, look, we need to get stuff done, and we can't be doing it because we're being scrutinized.
Yeah.
Hey, young members of the Justice League, we're going to put together our own team, and you guys can go do the things we can't do. And eventually, the Justice League ends up off-world for lots of different reasons, stuff that's happening. And the Young Justice team is the only one left on Earth to kind of protect the Earth of these serious threats. And there are so many great characters in this series. You've got Connor Kent, you've got McGann, you've got Aqualad, you've got Beast Boy, Blue Beetle. I mean, it is so, and all the Justice League characters are in this as well. It's so well done. The first 2 seasons were fire. They had like a 3 to 4 year hiatus, and when they launched, DC launched its own streaming service a couple of years ago called DC Universe. They did it by launching season 3 of Young Justice, which was very good. And then they moved everything over to HBO Max, and now they just announced season 4 dropping this past weekend. We got the first 2 episodes, and they'll release them weekly from here.
That's great.
Titanium, you need to watch these.
Yeah, I'm going to get into this.
Oh my God, they're so good. Look, audience,
when you
if
said
you
something
have not
about
seen this, you got to go watch this. It's so good.
The Red Tornado, I think I've seen an episode or 2 of this. I remember the Red Tornado at once. He was compromised, and he was working against them, but I'll watch it. I'm gonna go in and watch season 1. Yeah,
you will be shocked at how much you like it. Yeah, I mean, and again, you're gonna now be able to binge like 3 seasons and then go right into season 4. It is so well done. Please go watch it, people. It's really really well done. And again, these are all characters we know and love, and they're just fantastic. So
cool.
That was another thing that dropped yesterday. We got another drop that DC decided to make an animated movie called Injustice. So a few years ago, I think it's NetherRealms is the name of the company. They're the
there's a video game called Injustice as well.
Yeah. So NetherRealms is the company owned by Ed Boon and John Tobias. They're the creators of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And several years ago, they created a video game called DC Injustice. And the concept behind the video game was, what if Superman, for lots of different reasons, decided to kind of go rogue? And what would happen? And that was the concept behind the video game. And it was a fighting game, and you could pick your character and go through a storyline with your character. Well, they created a comic book series from the video game and had a whole Injustice comic book series. Well, now they decided to make an animated movie based on that video game, and it's dropping 2 days from now, on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Blu-ray and digital comes out the 19th of October. I'm super excited about this. And look, I'm going to, spoiler warning, I'm going to tell you exactly why Superman goes bad. The Joker and Harley Quinn kidnap Lois Lane, and they use the Scarecrow's fear toxin. Superman hears that the Joker's kidnapped Lois Lane. He goes to, they're in a submarine. He kind of gets the submarine out of the water and goes in, and the fear toxin makes him see Doomsday. And he picks Doomsday up and brings it up into space. I'm saying, I'm not going to let you hurt anybody. And it's Lois Lane that he brings up to space. And she's got a timer on her heart. And when her heart stops beating from being in space, a nuclear bomb goes off in the middle of Metropolis and destroys like the entire city. And Superman goes bat-esque crazy because of it. But look, this is coming out on Blu-ray and digital on Tuesday. I'm so excited to see this. It was a great video game, great storyline. It's going to be, and Batman ends up being like, it's kind of like a Marvel Civil War. Yeah. But Superman in the Justice League against Batman, he kind of goes rogue and creates his own kind of resistance. And they have to fight Superman in the Justice. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that one they announced as well. Again, coming out Tuesday. That's going to be fantastic. We got some kind of teasers about the fact they're making Wonder Woman 3.
Yeah, she says...
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, she admitted that she's already working on it.
Well, kind of, sort of, they weren't really going to come out and officially say it. Now, the big surprise was we had...
Linda Carter.
Linda Carter shows up. And Gal Gadot couldn't be there. She had way too many things going on. I guess they said she's got 3 kids and she's filming movies and she's too busy. But Linda Carter was there. And Linda Carter was kind of like dancing around the fact, like, I can't believe at my age I have these opportunities. I can't really talk about it, but this is really exciting for me. And Patty Jenkins said, yeah, we're making Wonder Woman 3. Now, we saw a post-credit scene in Wonder Woman 1984 that had Linda Carter in it. Uh-huh. And Linda Carter played the character Asteria. So the golden armor that Wonder Woman got in Wonder Woman 1984 was Asteria's armor. And supposedly, Asteria is a character in, I guess, the Themysciran history. She was left behind to make sure that Themyscira, the nation, could be created and man wouldn't follow them there. And so she's always kind of been on Earth. And now she's like kind of, older. So they're making Wonder Woman 3. We just don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about the plot. But we have a feeling now that Linda Carter is going to play a big role in that movie.
I'd love for Linda Carter to play a big role. She's a smoke show. And I think she would be good for that franchise. I think they dropped the ball in Wonder Woman 2, Wonder
84.
Woman 84. Yeah, I think they dropped the ball big time. They tried to be way bigger than it should have been. But Patty Jenkins, give her another shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a franchise. They basically said Patty Jenkins.
And you got Gal Gadot. I mean, come on, you can't.
She's a home run,
of course.
Yeah. So we got that. That's happening. We don't know anything else but the fact that they're doing the movie. That's all we heard, really. We got some other good news. I mean, Titanium, you and I were both excited when we saw some of these concept arts for these. They're making 3 new movies for HBO Max. Now, these are not theatrical releases. These are movies, production movies they're making for HBO Max. Kind of like a Netflix. Hey, we're going to drop full movies on HBO Max, and we're going to drop them straight to streaming. We're going to stream to our HBO Max customers. And the 3 characters are making movies with Blue Beetle, Static Shock, and Batgirl.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be really cool. A Hispanic actor.
All 3 of those characters probably could not carry a theatrical release movie.
No, but they wouldn't put up big numbers. But on HBO Max, to keep people
and for those of us who are comic book nerds, are you kidding? Those are 3 characters we want to see in a feature-length film.
Blue Beetle is going to be fire.
Oh my God!
That concept art of that outfit was way beyond my expectations. So
yes,
I'm excited for that. That was up there on my list.
And wait till you watch Young Justice. Blue Beetle's one of the best characters in that show.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to love it. I mean,
they've already casted the actor. He's a Hispanic kid for Blue Beetle. The show. It's going to be awesome. And Batgirl.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And it's another smoke show. And they confirm she will have red hair in the movie. she's an African American woman, but she's going to have red hair. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're getting the red hair. And they're like, oh, my God, this is so fun. So they're doing all 3 of those projects going to be on HBO Max. That's going to be fantastic.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. We did get some kind of CW news as well. So Batwoman, the CW series, which kind of went through a transition this last year in season 2. Ruby Rose left the show. They recast the Batwoman character. Had her own season this year. I'm not sure it was really done that great or was highly successful, but they did announce they're coming out with a season 3, and one of the things they announced as well is that the Batwing character is coming to the Batwoman TV show. So
let's hope that'll save it, because it's in the toilet right now. It
yeah.
does not have the viewership. It just doesn't have the footprint in the market right now to sustain it. I think they had to do this season under contract with this new actress. She was guaranteed this. So we'll see. I hope they pull it out, but the writing is awful in that show.
And the concept behind the Batwing character is like, think if Batman, a Batman type character had kind of like a Iron Man armor, and that's what Batwing is. Right. He kind of has this high tech armor that allows him to kind of be a superhero.
Yeah.
So that character's coming to the TV show. We got that news. Again, I'm not sure either you or I are going to watch that or are very excited about it, but the fact that it's there. We did get an announcement that Titans Season 4, they kind of teased as we alluded to earlier, they teased the finale of Season 3 coming this next week. But they did announce that Season 4 is greenlit. So they're doing a Season 4 of Titans.
That's great. I once again, show's very entertaining. The continuity bothers me a little bit in the last episode, but I'm hoping for a great close. Like, of course I'm going to watch the finale. That'll be awesome. So.
Yep. And the one final piece of news that I kind of wanted to make sure we talked about was they're coming out with a brand new animated series called Batman Caped Crusader. It's being created by the same people who created the Batman animated series cartoon back in the late 80s, early 90s, early to mid 90s. Batman, the animated series, one of the best animated series ever. I mean, it's where we got the Harley Quinn character was first introduced. It was just so well done. The same creator of that anime series is now involved in creating this Batman Caped Crusader. And there's 2 other important people, and we talked about this a little earlier, that are attached to this project. J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves. They've asked Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams to consult and kind of shepherd this new animated series forward. I have a feeling that this is something that we'll say Warner Brothers is very heavily invested in the success of. I think this animated series is something they're banking on being very successful.
I hope so, because those are 2 heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And Matt Reeves, if he doesn't do more Batman movies after this one, I'll be shocked. But again, I worry about Warner Brothers getting involved with the creative focus and direction that some of these really talented people have. So we'll see.
All right.
Excellent.
Anything else you heard you want to talk about?
Ring the bell, Professor. Right. Let's ring it.
Let's do it. Well, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week for more Super Talk. To get in touch with us on social media, hit us up via email, supertalkpodcast@outlook.com or @supertalkpod on Twitter. Until then, stay super, everyone.